Hi guys, this is a second lesson of a sketching a trig function. Now, I really strongly recommend you to watch the first video before you start watching this one. It's a little bit harder than the first question, but the question itself looks pretty much similar. Okay, so when I look at here, I'm just putting the little highlight here. The y equals 2 sine 3 brackets x minus pi over 4 close the brackets plus 1. Only different part here is pi over 4 instead of pi over 3 from lesson 1. Okay, I mean the domain is exactly the same. This pi over 4 will give us a little bit of headache. And that's why it is going to be a little bit trickier than the first lesson. Anyway, let's start. So I'm not going to talk about all this because I've already done that in the first. So I really strongly recommend you to watch the first video before you go into this one. Anyway, so the step 1, do you remember that? Apple, center, people, cycle. It might be better if I just put a little comma there so that people can say it a little bit better. Anyway, so we do that. And all these amplitude, center, period, they're all the same as the first question. Only difference now is, cycle. I mean, it's a 3 cycle. Sorry, actually cycles are still the same. Only thing will be it's starting from pi over 4 instead of pi over 3. Okay? The difference coming from step 2, scale. Okay, so we have it, right? Because each cycle is ended into 2 pi over 3, and the next one will be on to 4 pi 3 and the 6 pi 3, which is 2 pi. Now, and then you have it again because you need more, and that will be pi over 6. But we can't stop here. We can't make pi over 6 as our scale, because you know that this function is moving to the right by pi over 4. And if our scale is pi over 6, it's going to be a bit hard to actually, space it out, because it's going to go up by pi over 4. And we have a scale of pi over 6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to halve this again. And when I do that, I will get pi over 12. Now, pi over 12 may not be like pi over 4, but we can convert this pi over 4 from pi over 12. For example, 3 pi over 12 is pi over 4. So the pi over 12 is our scale. Now, because we halved again, our parts in each cycle is not going to be 4 parts anymore. It's going to be 8 parts. It's going to be more because you halved it again. But you probably think, oh, how do I know how many parts do I need for each cycle? Now, I think I mentioned that in the first video as well. So you use your scale times whatever how many cycle equals 2 pi over 3. Important thing is your period, 2 pi over 3, has to be the key here. Okay, so your scale times how many cycles has to be equal to 2 pi 3. In this case, 8. So you know that each cycle has 8 parts. All right, so then this is what you will have roughly. Okay, so I use all these highlighters, but during the exam you obviously can't do that. But I would suggest you use a pencil and make it into nice, neat, rough sort of draft graph here. And so each cycle, there's a 3 cycle, each cycle is go up to 2 pi 3, and then I'm just going to halve that, which is pi over 3. Okay, but the scale goes up by pi over 12. You don't need to write all these, but I just did it so that it's easier for you to see and understand. For the exam, you don't really need to. All you need, I think, is the one that it's going to be in the minimum, one that it's going to be in your maximum, and that one that it's going to hit where it's going to start. Obviously, it's going to start at pi of 4. Okay, so So like question 1 from the previous video, our center is 1 and our amplitude was 2, so it goes up by 3, and then the range, the minimum is -1. So all the graph sketching part is happening in this rectangle. And then I know that it's going to start in pi over 4, so I'm just going to cross that here. And I know that each cycle will be repeating. The wave is repeating, so I'm just going to make a point there, make a point there, because I know it's going to hit there. And if I'm trying to find the y-intercept, so when you put the x equals 0, just use a calculator. You'll get minus 0.4. So that's roughly here, because that's -1, that's minus 0.5, roughly here. So I'm going to put that, cross it here, cross it here, cross it here, and cross it here. Okay, so because it's all going to be repeating there. All right, so there. And I roughly put pi over 12 as my minimum and roughly 5 pi over 12 as my max, right? And how do I know? Well, I've done something here before I do that. So we know that this is a little bit different way of finding minimum and maximum points. Now, the first video, actually lesson 1, uses substituting the value into the equation, the function. But this one, I'm going to use the actual minimum value and maximum value, because it's just easier. So I'm going to do make y value equals -1 for minimum, and I'm going to make a y value equals 3 for a maximum. So to get this, I know that sine has to be 1, because if I, -1. If I can get this value as a -1, I've got 2 times -1 plus 1 has to be -1. And to get that value as -1, I know that the actual radians part, the angle part, has to be pi over 2, -90. Okay, so I know there is it's going to have a -1 is like 3 pi over 2 as well, but we're going to stick with the close to the 0. So basically first value you can come up with from the 0. So I'm going to pick pi over 2, and I want that to be negatives, because I want this 2 to be -2 to get the value, minimum value. Anyway, so when you do that, I just solve for x. So I know pi over 12 is my minimum. And if I change that to maximum value, the 3, so in this case, I want that the sine value to be just 1. That way, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. So I'll do the same. And to get 1, I'll have to get just pi over 2. That's the first thing you will get, pi over 2. So I don't know whether I can here. So here, oops, it's not very good sketch sign. So that is pi over 2, isn't it? And that's 1. Okay, so when you get 1, you know it's going to be pi over 2. So when you solve for x, you will get 5 pi over 12. So when we go back to that, it's going to be pi over 12. It's going to be my minimum. 5 pi over 12 is my max. Now, so I know the first scale is my minimum. So each cycle, first scale is my minimum, first scale is minimum. And then the second last, hang on a minute, third, 1, 2, 3, third from the end scale is my max. So I'll do the same, 1, 2, 3 from the back, max. 1, 2, 3 on the max. Okay, and also also, I know that it starts from pi over 4, and then the max is 5 pi over 12. So there is a 2 parts each because it has to be symmetrical. Okay, so I've just put the little points there so that it's easier for me to sketch. I've done the same thing on here, that I'll put little points here, so that negative 0.4 here, and then minimum -1, and then a little bit of here, because I know that pi over 12 is right in the middle. So that just put a little bit of indication there, so that my final graph will look like this. Okay, because it starts from 0, finish to 2 pi, and use your pencil, smooth it up. Okay, so I just indicate the maximum points and minimum points. Of course, you do not need to put all these little scales on this, because it's a sketching, not graphing, but I put that in there for your better understanding, clear vision of where your graph should be in. Okay, so have fun with that. And so remember, ample center, people cycle, and that's our first step. Second will be the finding a scale, and the third, it's an extra step, finding a minimum and maximum point. But as soon as you get the one maximum minimum, all you have to do is just put the little dots, and then all you need after that, it's very easy to sketch. So make sure it's a curved, okay? It's not pointy. All right, well, have fun with that, and good luck.